Welcome to episode 323 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. Joining me in a moment is Jack Hopkins. Jack is the CEO and co-founder of Tradeeze. Tradeeze is a same-day delivery service for the building sector, so delivering everything from a box of nails, I suppose, through to a ton of bricks. Same day to building sites and to other locations where tradespeople, or tradies as we like to call them, might be found across London. So, well, let's get stuck into it. Jack Hopkins, CEO and co-founder of Tradeeze. Joining me on the line is Jack Hopkins. Jack is the CEO and co-founder of Tradeeze. Jack, welcome. We've got a really interesting story to share with everyone today. Jack, why don't you just give us a bit of background here? Tell us about what drove you to create Tradeeze.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ian. Well, I'm an electrician by trade, and I had a small team of engineers working for me, jobs all around central London where the traffic's notoriously bad. And I spent my life and evenings as well, just sort of dropping parts of jobs for the next day or during the day. And I just noticed so many inefficiencies within my own business, and not just within my own business, but in the industry as a whole. I was basically just a part runner, and I just ended up partnering up with merchants and turning it into a business, what Tradeeze is today.
So tell us a bit about this relationship then, because how it works in practice. You just mentioned in passing there about merchants, and then of course you've got your own, the building sites and those sorts of things. So can you just share about how it sort of works in practice and who indeed who's the customer and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we partner up with the merchants, right? And they are onboarded onto our technology platform. The merchants, we're B2B with them. Tradespersons on site, they need a box of screws. So, they're caught short on a job, just don't have a box of screws. It can be very costly, obviously, with parking, getting down to the merchant, all the rest of it. They then just call them, say, look, I need it now. The merchant at that point would then say, look, we can't get it to you, you can't get here, but what we can do is we can Tradeeze it to you. They go, okay, great. They give them an instant price off of our pricing tool on our software. So that's the merchant who gives the tradesperson that price. Tradesperson goes, yep, happy days, happy with the price. The merchant then books out the delivery on the Tradeeze platform. That then comes through to our admin portal, and a rider gets assigned and then picks up the goods, drops it to site. So we bill the merchants as opposed to billing the tradesperson.
So your relationship is with the merchant, so the wholesaler, or whatever the term is for those of us outside the sector. You call it a merchant, but someone who's basically going to sell that box of screws at a trade price to the tradie. So your relationship is with them rather than with the individual tradies. Now, one of the things that you sort of mentioned in passing there was that the merchant might already have its own delivery system, and you complement that. So how does that work?
Yeah, so I suppose there's a few different things. I suppose our 1 hour delivery is an extra revenue stream for them. That's a service that they weren't providing before and they now are. We can then also broaden their reach. So, if they've got 2 vans, then vans have got a nice little route locally, but it just doesn't quite work for them to go that bit further. So that the merchant then might use us for that. We're a great lean-on service. They get a lot of drivers off sick, or they've just got a slightly bit too much work for an extra van, so they'll use a bit of Tradeeze, bit of their fleet. Like I say, driver off sick, all on Tradeeze for that day. So there's a few different scenarios in which a merchant might use Tradeeze.
You mentioned that your service might also be an add-on in terms of time sensitivity. So tell us a bit about what you're doing there. Are you just doing super fast, within the hour deliveries? Or is it within a broader time frame, say 3 hours, or is it time specific? What kind of delivery options can you offer a merchant through your service?
Yeah, well, on our motorbikes, so we got a different vehicle selection. We got motorbikes, cars, vans, flatbeds, and bicycles, and e-bikes and stuff like that. That's where we're getting quite heavy on the sort of, we're trying to go electric, so we're introducing e-bikes and the rest of it. The motorcycles are 1 hour, 3 hour, and any time today. The 1 hour option is just, it's an absolute godsend for tradespeople, because going back to the parking in London, you waste an hour getting down to the merchant, you spend 30 minutes in the merchant, an hour back. you then have to pay 40 quid for another parking space, right? So that's the bit I was referring to, is the additional revenue stream for the merchant they weren't offering before. And obviously a godsend for the tradesmen, because they've just never had that option before. The vans and the flatbeds, they're just a same day service. So that's kind of solving another problem there, because before, when a tradesperson would call a builder's merchant and say, look, I need a ton of bricks, it would be, okay, we've got the bricks, but we'll get them to you in 2 or 3 days' time. They're now getting to them same day through Tradeaze. They order it before 12, they'll have it by 4.
And this is really about timeliness as well. I imagine that's a crucial factor in the building sector.
Oh, yeah. Jobs could end up rolling over. And again, it's not always the tradesperson who's in a rush. Sometimes the homeowner drops it on the tradesperson last minute. It's a boiler breakdown and it's got to be back up and running by a certain time. Just deadlines on jobs in general, and people leaving things last minute. It can be massively costly to either the homeowner, the client, or the tradesperson. So it's a very valuable service.
You mentioned that you've got a number of delivery vehicles out there. So, and in terms of whether it's a flat tray, a van, a bicycle. Did you say a bicycle or just a cargo bike?
We got bicycles, e-bikes,
Now, and that you can also I like the idea of almost being a fallback in some respects as well. So tell us a bit about the engagement model you've got with your drivers, because this is something that is a really hot topic everywhere in the world, is how do people engage with their drivers? So given that you're in a slightly different market, you're a B2B delivery market, how do you engage with your drivers?
The way we engage with our drivers, originally they were all on just day rates, right? We had them employed and on day rates and all the rest of it. We've now got a bit of a hybrid between the two, to be completely honest with you. We have a core team who are on the cards, PAYE, and we are playing with just some self-employed people coming in with their own van for a day, or we are playing with per drop gig economy as well. So we really do have just a bit of everything going on at the moment. The problem is with the flatbed side of it, you don't really have many flatbed drivers out there sitting waiting for a per drop basis. Motorbikes, with everything going on with Deliveroo and Uber Eats, there's plenty of them guys around. So that's sort of, all of our bikes are now self-employed.
One of the things that we struggle with in the parcel delivery sector is the larger items and getting them delivered, especially if it's something that requires a 2-person delivery. And I imagine a lot of what you do would be what we'd look at in the delivery sector and say, you mentioned a ton of bricks before. You're not likely to load that into the back of a Mercedes van, I suppose.
No. Yeah.
And you've got other jobs, whether it's long or items or unmanageable items. How do you deal with what we would consider a 2-person delivery? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so at the merchant side, you're quite fortunate because they're obviously more than equipped. They've got forklifts and all the rest of it. So a ton of bricks would go on the forklift straight on the back. Job done. You're then off. It's on the tradesperson side where you might experience them complications. 9 times out of 10, we do have it on our software as well, saying there's got to be people on the other side. We get there, that they start unloading. Our drivers also muck in as well, and they do handball it at the moment. I mean, you could go into high ab lorries and all the rest of it, and I'm sure we will one day. So at the moment, it's forklifts at the merchant side and the handball on the other side. It's the vehicles as well. I think you mentioned about normal sort of logistics companies, and you wouldn't want to just put it in a normal van. Absolutely. I mean, where we are just targeting this sector, it kind of works because it's fine just having a ton of bricks in the back of a van or in the back of a flatbed. If someone had a load of other parcels on there, someone's Xbox 360 and someone's dress from Zara or something, and then you've got a ton of bricks just squashing the rest of it in, it just doesn't quite work. So I think if you are going to tackle this sector, you just have to tackle this sector. And that's why we're sort of getting our heads around it properly and building our technology and equipping our fleet around it.
Let's talk about the tech side of things. I think this is something that's particularly intriguing here, is how you manage all of this. You mentioned that there's a platform that the merchants use and things like that. Well, let's start with things like tracking of orders before we get to tracking orders, let's talk a bit about pricing. So is that pricing done all via the platform? So when the tradesman or tradie rings the merchant's able to just plug in the address, plug in the order and work out what the delivery fee is going to be?
Yeah, so we've got a pricing metric which it just requires the collection postcode and the drop postcode. That's all we need, the two full postcodes. They put them in, they click their vehicle and a little bit around, the sizings and whatnot and the weight, and that just spits out an instant price. What that does, that pulls, is tapped into the Google API, so it pulls a time and distance from Google, and we've got a multiplier on there, and like I say, it just spits out a different price accordingly.
And what about the tracking of orders and deliveries? Something we talk a lot about in the e-commerce delivery world. I imagine it's even more important when you've potentially got tradies sitting around on site twiddling their thumbs waiting for a ton of bricks or a box of screws to turn up.
Yeah, so we've got tracking, obviously. So we've got eyes on it on the admin dashboard where we can see where everyone is. Our merchants have got eyes on their particular orders, and then obviously the tradesperson gets a link sent to them via text message, and they can track their order as well. So everyone's got eyes on the order at all times, which is great.
And what about getting the vehicle right? We were talking about two-person delivery and the ton of bricks. So you're not going to send a ton of bricks on a cargo bike, especially if it's already on a pallet and just needs to be loaded by a forklift. So how do you get the vehicle selection right?
Yeah, so you got the vehicle selection, and then there's a little breakdown under each vehicle of what they can take, volume, weight, shape, size, whatever. And there is guidance on the software, and it's down to the person booking it out because they've obviously got the weights in front of them. And it's not a hard thing on Travis Perkins' system. It does say the exact weight of the whole order, so they can type that in. That will then say, okay, this needs a flatbed. So it's all worked out for them, and it gives them pretty comprehensive guidance on there.
And then another factor in that, of course, is trying to consolidate deliveries. Well, I say consolidate might not be the right word, but as opposed to just one load, one customer per van per trip, being able to get the van filled with multiple orders, say 2 or 3 or however many can fit in there. What have you started doing that and getting that, trying to get multiple orders in the one vehicle?
Yeah. So we consolidate a lot, and consolidation really does affect our route optimization as well. Reason being, again, it's not just like chucking a load of parcels in there. So if again, we use a ton of bricks, for example, and then a sheet of plasterboard, say the plasterboard has got to come off first, but the ton of bricks has been loaded on top of it, and the plasterboard wants to come off first because the route optimization has said that it should because it makes sense, but what's in the back of the van doesn't make sense. So I think it's a big thing that we're sort of tackling at the moment. And again, the merchants are very helpful with that. They sort of work together. They look and go right, okay, where are you going? And they look at the Tradeaze app, the merchant and the driver who'll go, right, I've got to go here first, then I've got to go there, and I've got to go there. And the merchants are very good with going, all right, well, we better load this first, and then that, and then that. So we do consolidate. I'd say it's not just like a sort of crash bang wallop, let's chuck everything in. There's a bit of an art to it, to be honest.
Of course, nobody does crash bang wallop in the delivery sector at all, Jack. Let's just be clear about that. But speaking of a crash bang wallop, you've mentioned it. That is damaged or partially fulfilled or missing consignments. It's the bane of everybody's existence. How are you going with dealing with that kind of an issue?
Yeah, so fortunately we don't get too much of it. But in the early days, I mean, we had the odd bit of cracked plasterboard or whatever, and I just went, you know what? And with my electrical background, I thought straight away CCTV in the vans, and it is a done thing. I have seen it since. We've now got not in all of them. It's something that I'm doing at the moment. I'm installing it myself. We're installing CCTV in the back of the vans, on the side of the vans. So if someone said, "Oh, I thought I had 4 plasterboards, 2 turned up," we can show the video that there was only 2 loaded at the merchant, or if it was damaged before. So it covers us for a lot of issues, really. Also, there might be an argument between the driver and the tradesperson, and get the CCTV out. It really does cover us. So that's how we've been dealing with that.
Now let's look towards the future. You mentioned that you've kicked off in London. Are you just in London right now? And what are your thoughts about expansion?
Yeah, so we're just in London at the moment. We're actually raising money at the moment. We're doing a crowdfund. So that is to go national. After we've gone national, we could target different sectors as well. Like DIY. Someone might be moving house and have a 6-meter climbing frame that needs to go on a flatbed. there's no reason why they couldn't go on the Tradeaze app and book out a flatbed to transport that. So yeah, we're looking to go national, bit bigger vehicles, and potentially even over to Europe. It's just all about raising the money. We're also looking for a delivery partner, an established logistics company who might want to target this sector, but recognise that it's probably better to leave a startup to it. That they back us with a bit of investment, give us some advice along the way, and we are seeking a partner.
And we'll have Jack's contact details towards the end of this episode and on the postalhub.com episode page. Before we get to that, Jack, a couple more quick questions. There are a couple of other things that we talk about a lot in terms of parcel delivery, and I'll be interested in your take on it. One is returns. So you've mentioned damaged things, but now often if you've got an unwanted item or anything that has to go back to the merchant. And the other thing is value-added services, and you've hinted at that before. Is delivery where Tradeaze starts and ends, or is there an opportunity to do a little bit more than that?
Yeah. So the returns, it's actually not a bad thing for us. We don't like it happening, obviously, because it's a bit of a situation for our merchants. But if they've sent out the wrong thing or the tradesperson's ordered the wrong thing, we have to charge to just take it straight back, and then we normally charge to do a redelivery again. So for us, it's not the end of the world. It's actually more work, so more business, which is great. Value-added services, yes. And once we've built that construction-focused logistics platform, I'd say that it could open plenty of doors. Yeah.
Now, Jack, you mentioned that you're doing fundraising and that you're open to talking with other logistics companies or delivery players. People who want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you directly?
So if they could reach out to me on LinkedIn, I keep an eye on my LinkedIn. I can also, my email is jack@tradies.uk. And that's either of them too.
I'll stick a link to Jack's LinkedIn profile on the episode page on thepostalhub.com. So if you want to get in contact with him via LinkedIn, that's the way to do it. And the email address, let's just go over it again. It's jack@tradeze.uk. And that's Tradeeze spelled Tradeeze.
Yeah, correct.
Tradeeze, Tradeeze.uk. I'll stick a link to the Tradeeze website on the postalhub.com as well, so you can have a squiz, look at what they're doing, and find out more about the Tradeeze B2B business. Jack Hopkins, CEO and co-founder of Tradeeze, thank you very much for joining us on the Postal Hub podcast today.
Lovely. Thanks for having me, Ian.
Coming soon on the Postal Hub podcast, our friends from Copenhagen Economics return to talk about the USO. I've got some special end-of-year episodes coming up too later on at the end of the year, obviously. Maybe I'll release them at the beginning of next year. Who knows? Just the tension is unbearable, isn't it? Anyway, enough of this nonsense. You know what I'm going to say here at the end of the episode. I'm going to say subscribe to the podcast. I'm going to say when you subscribe in Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or whatever, please leave a rating, leave a review. Really does help. It's just a little thing. It only takes a moment, but please do it. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you just do that. Go to LinkedIn, look for Ian Kerr and click follow. You can connect with me if you really want to. If you're really super keen, I don't mind. Give it a go. Maybe I'll say yes. What else? You can subscribe to my email newsletter. Please do. My email newsletter that I send out weekly or whenever I release a news episode. I also have a daily delivery digest, which is a daily email with the latest headlines from around the delivery world. What else can you do? You can email me if you like. My email address is ian@thepostalhub.com. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.